Counting down to kickoff, coast-to-coast coverage from here at the Seaport District in New York to Northern California, where Hall of Famer Steve Young joins from home as we say hi to Booger McFarland, Hall of Famer Randy Moss, Adam Schefter. I'm Susie Colbert. So, guys, let's get right to it. One of the biggest stories from Sunday, the Raiders trying to keep their playoff hopes alive and facing the winless Jets. New York fighting back to take a 4-point lead late in the fourth quarter. And then here's what it's all about. 42 seconds left. It almost looked hopeless for Las Vegas until Jets defensive coordinator Gregg Williams called an all-out blitz on the game-ending play. Unheard of. Derek Carr took advantage, hitting Henry Ruggs. Williams fired this morning.
How tough a spot is that for Lamar Jackson to be out on an island there facing arguably one of the fastest players in the league?
It's extremely tough. That situation just got to be in a better call.
It's hard to fathom, losing a game like that.
Who made the decision?
I did. Circled with the guys I needed to circle with. We were all in agreement.
Why didn't you overrule the call when Greg made it?
I wish I would have. Sometimes during a game, and you're talking through a bunch of situations, and that comes up. I wish I would have called timeout, but I didn't.
Adam, inside linebackers coach Frank Bush will be the interim defensive coordinator. Can you fill us in on how this went down overnight this morning?
Look, this was coming, and it was inevitable, and it was brewing for a while. And we heard earlier in the year Gregg Williams criticize Adam Gase publicly. But the fact of the matter is, it was a play call that will go down in New York sports lore. It will always be remembered as a play that was disastrous in the end. But really, it might have been disastrous if the Jets had won the game anyway and moved into a tie with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the right to draft Trevor Lawrence. There's the play, and the moment Henry Ruggs caught that pass, you knew there would be problems. Back in the day, in 1978, Joe Pisarcik once handed off to Larry Zonka when he should have taken a knee. It was the miracle at the Meadowlands. And the next day, the Giants fired their offensive coordinator, Bob Gibson. This was the 2020 defensive equivalent of a coordinator blowing it with a zero blitz late in the game, costing his team the game. Players fought hard, lost the game. They will always remember that play from what now looks like it will be an 0-16 Jets winless season. That is the one play that will be most remembered this year.
1970, I was 1 year old.
78.
78, yeah, I was born in 77. This play's been talked about a lot today, and I think before we understand where we are today, let's go back to your point. Let's understand where we started. The relationship between Gregg Williams and Adam Gase hasn't been great. Williams questioned Gates. They had to have a meeting behind closed doors. They had to talk to each other. Now, fast forward to this point. I think we can look at it and say Gregg Williams is an aggressive defensive coordinator.
Yes.
He's always been an aggressive defensive coordinator, no matter where he's been, whether that's Cleveland, whether that's with the Rams, no matter where he's been, he's always been an aggressive defensive coordinator. And so he runs a zero blitz. There's different ways you can pressure when it comes to pressuring a Hail Mary situation. Gregg Williams knows that. He's done that before from a pressure standpoint. You can look at the tape from Gregg Williams pressuring. Here he is with the Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to pressure. It's a Hail Mary situation.
I see a safety.
Exactly. I want to bring pressure. I want everybody to know I want the ball out of the quarterback's hands. But here's the difference. Look back there, Randy.
I see.
There's three guys back there.
Okay.
There's three safeties back there. So I can bring pressure without putting my guys on an island. But here's Gregg Williams right now against the Jets. I want to bring pressure. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring pressure, but I'm going to leave my rookie cornerback on an island one-on-one against maybe the fastest guy in the NFL in Henry Ruggs. Gregg Williams knew exactly what he was doing. I think he did it on purpose, and here's why. There's only been 3 coaches in the last 50 years that have gone 0-16. You couple that with the relationship between Adam Gase and Gregg Williams. I'm not saying that he wanted them to lose this game. I'm saying he gave the Jets every opportunity to lose this game by putting them in a call that was not advantageous for this. As a coordinator, I don't want to be predictable. He was predictable. Case in point, the Raiders went max protect. They ran a double move on a Hail Mary. How many times on a Hail Mary do you see a double move? So everyone knew what was coming, and Gregg Williams did this because he wants Adam Gase to go down on the wrong side of history, to be the 4th coach to have to wear 0-16. And if you don't believe me, then you don't know Gregg Williams.
Man, one heartbeat, one heartbeat. That's what good head coaches always talk about when they're talking to their players. One heartbeat. There's 53 men out there. We want everybody beating to the same drum, the same heartbeat. Check your ego in at the door. Yes. That's what we always talk about. Gregg Williams, Adam Gase, we as players, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Whatever they have going on personally between them, they should have left that somewhere else. It's not fair to the players to put all their heart and soul in, Susie, of how hard the Jets fought. Sam Darnold, they had a great game plan yesterday. And to lose like that midfield cover zero, that's not fair. I'm glad they did that to Gregg Williams, but Adam Gase still has a little bit of explaining to do to his team.
But, Boog, I mean, you really think it's Williams' reputation, too, that he's willing to sacrifice his own reputation?
His reputation was gone with Bountygate. He's not concerned with his reputation anymore. This is about the reputation of the head coach. When I say 0-16, we list the head coaches.
Like Gregg Williams was 0-16 before.
Exactly.
As a defensive coordinator.
That's my point, but we don't say that. Gregg Williams has gotten another job even at 0-16. But when you talk about the coaches, Steve, that have gone 0-16, the coaches, the head coaches have to wear that. Gregg Williams, although Adam said we know he's been 0-16 before, he doesn't have to wear that, Steve.
And then why does he get fired? He gets fired because he's got a locker room to protect and a locker room that says, hey, are we tanking on purpose? Are we going to go out and play and no one cares? Do you guys not care about us? To me, he's sending a message to the locker room. This season I'm not giving in to this season. Everyone else in the whole country, everyone alive who's a sports fan thinks that the Jets are done. But this locker room needs to fight. And remember, we got to fire you because not only do we have acrimony between the two of us, not only do we have history, not only do I want you to go, but I'm going to fire you publicly today because I want to protect my locker room because we got to keep fighting. I got in trouble a couple years ago talking about the Dolphins. It really is not about the tanking in the locker room. The key is you protect your players to be able to go out and at least have the image that we're all in it and want to fight. The second part of this, though, is Adam Gase. In the end, he has been brought into the most prolific offensive era in football history as an offensive guru. And so he now has to stand and be one of the guys that failed in one of the most offensive eras in history, and now he has to stand for that as well. So you can fire Gregg Williams, protect your team from the sense of tanking, but you also have this other part of it. I got a number one quarterback in Sam Darnold and have done nothing with it. It kind of rests on him as well.
Well, you could say to your team, Steve, that we're not finished, but let me break it for you right here. They're finished. Okay? They're finished.
But you got to go fight, Adam. You have to. Look. It's not basketball. It's not tennis. It's not baseball. They are at risk. That locker room has to look, because if you want to get injured, go out there with a mindset of tanking. You're going to get hurt.
I got it.
You got to lean in. So he's got to have an offense.
Let me just read this to you. Ready? Seattle Seahawks coming off a loss to the New York Giants on Sunday. Jets got a chance in that game, Steve?
Jets have a chance in what game?
Against Seattle this Sunday.
Of course they do.
Okay. The next week they play. The next week they play at the Rams, coming off a 10-day rest. Rams play this week. They play at Los Angeles. Home for the Cleveland Browns. Finish in New England against the Patriots.
And so who was better? Which team did you just list to me that's better than the Raiders right now? Maybe the Rams?
Well,
maybe
I think
Cleveland coming. I'm just saying
the Jets
they're
competitive.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They're competitive in teams that are kind of above average. That's where the Raiders are. But to me, I get it. Trust me, I get all of that. If you don't have a locker room that's going to go out and lean in and play hard, you're going to get people hurt. And that's why Adam Gase, I think, in a lot of ways, protected that locker room.
Here's the bottom line, guys.
I think that's what the head coach of the Dolphins did 2 years ago. He protected that locker room as well, which I was proud of him for doing.
That's a great point. Bottom line, it's really simple. Everybody in New York is getting fired. I think we all can bet a lot of money and feel pretty confident that everybody in that building is gone pretty soon.
Without a doubt.
Well, we can say this, that Williams loses his job, but maybe he saves the future of the franchise because they are squarely in line for the number one.
Everybody wants Trevor Lawrence.
Hey, it was still a win. It was still a win. Not for the players, not for the people fighting, but Jet fans couldn't be happier with the result in the end. I'm just telling you right now.
All right.
You're right. I get it.
All right, guys, we know there's another game going on tonight. The Washington football team at Pittsburgh in what we're hearing, sloppy conditions in Pittsburgh. Ben was questionable, looks pretty good, hits Deontay Johnson to put the first points on the board in the second quarter, and then watch the defensive play here.
It's the gritty dance, Susan.
Oh, the gritty dance.
Yes, that's what that was.
McKissick stuffed here on this play. You can see this game on Fox, but we'll keep track of it too. We're just getting started here on Monday Night Countdown. Another bad start. The Eagles replace quarterback Carson Wentz with rookie Jalen Hurts, who is QB1 moving forward in Philly. We'll discuss. And you don't need a Cardinals home game for a great sports moment in Arizona. We take a trip down memory lane to see some of our favorite moments at State Farm Stadium. Plus, our Hall of Famer, Steve Young, goes one-on-one with Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who is trying to win the Bills their first division title since when?
First time since 1995. How old were you?
Negative